Shavua Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Yevamot. We are up to Perikut Gimel, Mishnah Dalit. Today's Mishnah should be Leilun Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Ranbayev, Eliyahu ben Burchai, Israel ben Chana ben Miriam, Menuchatam began Eden, Amen. And Leavdi ben Chaim Lechaim, V'derefua Shelemav, Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, and Mariana Miriam Chaya Batamara, Betoch Shach Ulei Israel. The Mishnah explains the two rules set forth by Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov in the previous Mishnah. It begins by explaining the second rule. Amima'enet ba'ish, when an orphan girl makes miyun to her husband to end their marriage, we treat it as if they were never married. Therefore, hu mutar bikrovotea vi muteret bikrovav. The former husband is permitted to marry her relatives, and she is permitted to marry his relatives. For example, he may marry her mother or sister, and she may marry his father or brother. In the case of a divorced couple, however, he would be forbidden to the relatives of his ex-wife, and she would be forbidden to his. By Torah law, a husband and wife continue to be forbidden to each other's relatives even after the marriage ends with the get. Velo pisalah min hakeuna, and the miyun does not disqualify her from marrying a kohen in the future as a divorce would. This is the meaning of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's second rule in the previous Mishnah. Anytime her stay in the marriage was not on account of him, then it is as if she was never his wife. Once she does miyun, the marriage is undone retroactively, and we treat them as if they were never married. Now the explanation of the first rule. Natan lah get, if however the husband gave her a get to end the marriage, then we consider them to have been married up until the time he gave the get. Therefore, hu asur bikrovotea vi asura bikrovav. He is forbidden to marry her relatives, and she is forbidden to marry his relatives. Ufsalah min hakeuna, and he has disqualified her from marrying a kohen in the future. This is the meaning of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov's first rule in the previous Mishnah. Anytime the orphan stays in the marriage on account of the man, then we view the couple as if she had been his wife. We consider them to have been married until he divorced her. Since they were at one time considered married, they continue to be forbidden to each other's relatives after the divorce, and the orphan is forbidden to a kohen as a divorcee. Now, after a man gives his wife a get, he is allowed to take her back and remarry her as long as she does not marry another man first. Once she does marry another man, even if the second husband dies or divorces her, she remains forever forbidden to her first husband, as the Torah discusses in Sefer Dvarim, chapter 24, verses 1 through 4. The rabbis applied this law to an orphan girl as well. If her husband divorces her, she is legally considered a divorcee. Therefore, if she marries another man, she is forbidden by rabbinic law to remarry her first husband. However, if she ended her marriage to him with miyun, she is not considered a divorcee at all. Therefore, even if she marries another man who then dies or divorces her, she may remarry her first husband. The Mishnah discusses a consequence of this law. Natan lah get vechizirah. If the husband gave her a get and then remarried her before she married anyone else, ma'ana bo, and then she made mi'un to end the second marriage, v'nised la'acher v'nitarmela u'nitgarsha, married someone else, and then either became widowed from him, or was divorced, muter lachzolo, she may return to her first husband, despite the fact that he at one time gave her a get to end their first marriage, and she later married another man. This is because when she made mi'un to end the second marriage, the mi'un retroactively erased both the second marriage and the first marriage, the one that ended with the get. Since the first marriage has now been undone, it turns out that the divorce was meaningless because when she received it, she was actually not married, and she is not a divorcee at all. This being the case, she may return to her first husband even after having married another man. The Mishnah now considers the opposite case, where her first marriage ended in miyun and the second in divorce. However, if she made miyun to end the first marriage and the husband took her back, he married her again. Natan lah get v'nised la'acher v'nitarmela u'nitgarsha, and then he gave her a get to end the second marriage, and she then married another man and became widowed from him, or he divorced her. Asura lachzolo, she is forbidden to return to the first husband. Since the second marriage ended in a get, the orphan is now considered a divorcee who may not be taken back by her husband after having married another man. This is the rule. Get achar mi'un asura lachzolo, wherever a get comes after mi'un, she is forbidden to return to him after marrying someone else. Mi'un achar get muter lachzolo, where mi'un comes after a get, she is permitted to return to him after marrying someone else. This rule teaches that even if they married several times and broke up each time, sometimes with the divorce and sometimes with mi'un, the law for remarrying her always follows the last breakup. If it was done through mi'un, she may remarry her first husband even after marrying someone else. If it was through a get, she may not. That is the end of Mishnah Daled. Mishnah now continues what we just summarized, what we learned in Mishnah Dalet, we saw that when an orphan girl receives a gift from her husband and then remarries him and ends her second marriage with miyun, she's not considered a divorcee. This is because the miyun that ends a second marriage retroactively erases the first marriage as well, making the earlier get meaningless. So Mishnah Hay now discusses a case where miyun does not erase an earlier marriage, and a get given to end that marriage will make the orphan girl a divorcee even when there is later a miyun. Hama'anet ba'ish, if an orphan girl made miyun to her husband, v'nisel la'achel v'gersha, and then married another man and he divorced her, la'achel u'me'anabo, and then she married another third man and made miyun to him, la'achel v'gersha, and then she married another man, a fourth man, and he divorced her, la'achel u'me'anabo, and then she married another man, a fifth man, and made miyun to him. The law is as follows: Kol sheyatzat hemenu beget, all the husbands that she left by way of a get, the second and fourth husbands, asua lachzolo, she is forbidden to return to, because her later miyun done to other men, the miyun done to husbands 3 and 5, did not retroactively erase these earlier marriages that ended in divorce. Therefore, her remarriage to someone else afterward prohibits her from returning to the husband who divorced her. She cannot return to husband 2 after she refuses husband 3, because husband 2 gave her a get, which makes her his divorcee. And after leaving him, she married husband 3. The same applies to husband 4, who gave her a get, and then she married husband 5. B'me'un, however, all of the husbands that she left to mi'un, husbands 1 and 3, muter lachzolo, she may return to, because her act of miyun does not make her a divorcee to those husbands. She may return to the first husband after her husband 2 divorces her, even though she married husband 2. Similarly, she may return to husband 3 after husband 4 divorces her, despite having married husband 4. She is not considered a divorcee of either husband 1 or 3, because their marriages ended in miyun, not with a get. She may return to husband 5 as well, since his marriage also ended through miyun, but there is no need for the Mishnah to tell us this, because she did not marry anyone after him. In short, a later miyun erases an earlier divorce only when they were both to the same man, like in the case of the previous Mishnah. A divorce by one man is not erased by miyun to another man. This distinction is due to rabbinic decree. The rabbis were concerned that if we allow miyun on the later husband's marriage to cancel the divorce of the earlier husband might try to persuade the orphan girl to end her second marriage with miyun so that he can take her back. For this reason, the miyun done to husband 5 does not permit her to return to husband 4, even though that miyun retroactively erased the marriage of husband 5, and since there was no other marriage after the marriage of husband 4, he should be allowed to take her back. The rabbis made a special decree to treat the marriage that ended with miyun as a marriage in regard to the marriage that ended in divorce. This was that the husband who divorced her should not try to convince her to end her later marriage with miyun and return to him. And that is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.